Hi everyone, welcome to the next instalment of this page from Hanna Karlzon Seasons, and also in her Grains of Gold book using Prismacolor pencils. Now we're going to start with the stems of our daffodils, and I was quite tempted to use the sap green light, but of course we use that for our grape hyacinths. So I'm going to grab a slightly different colour. I think the apple green might work quite well. I do have to check and see how long my apple green is though. Yes, this is it. It's quite short, but I think we've got enough. Now I'm going to come in a tad closer, but obviously I need to be far enough out so we can see all the stems. I think we're okay here. And what I'm just going to do is just colour all these stems just in apple green, just a layer, and then we'll see how we go from there, really, as I so often do. I've also been thinking about the gemstones at the bottom of the page, because obviously they need some colour, and our background. Now the gemstones, I have thought carefully and decided that I think they need to be the colours to match in with the gemstones on our chicks. We've got a lot of the violet colour, but I thought we might use the mulberry as well, so do a mix maybe of violet and mulberry gemstones. I'm just pondering that for the final bit. While I do this green, I will just have a think about that, and then we can do those bits. They're quite small, but I think it'll all be okay. I do have some of the Verithin pencils which are a bit smaller, but I think they'll be the wrong colours, so I think I'm just going to have to sharpen and hope. Basically, I think I can manage. I do find Prisma's a little tricky when it comes to details, but we'll see. I'm sure I can manage it. Now there's a bit of stem here. It's quite hard for you to see what I'm doing down in the spine, but I don't want to miss it out. Now with the spine, do be careful, like I'm putting a little bit of pressure on it so that I can get into there. You need to be a bit careful there, because if you do that too much you can break the spine of the book, and if it isn't a particularly well bound book, the pages can start to fall out. I have had that happen in a couple of books actually. One colouring book, one colorist special effects book, and a completely different book. So it does happen. And if it's a book that you're using a lot, you know, a colouring book we tend to have open for a while, put it away, get it out, put it away, so we're using them quite a lot more than we might do if it was just a reading book. So we do need to be a little bit careful, although I know some people like to pull the pages out so that they can be free of the binding, but that's a completely different thing. You know, if you want to do that, that's fine. No, it's up to you. I know some people will be horrified by the idea. I need a colour to do some shading and things like that, and I am just having a look. I think the olive green might work quite well if I can find it. Oh, there it is. So what I'm going to do with my olive green, once I've sharpened it, is to firstly use it on a stem. So this is a stem here, and I want to put a little bit on each edge of the stem and then fade it towards the centre. My hope is that that will make our stem look rounded. It's a stem of a daffodil is not flat, it is more rounded, so we can hopefully give that impression like that. So I'm just bringing that colour in slightly but leaving a lighter bit in the middle, and then it looks like the light shining off the middle and helps it to look more rounded. We can do the same over. See, that doesn't look like a stem, it looks like a leaf, but I'm going to do it there anyway. Put some dark colour where the leaves are overlapping anyway. That's just a teensy bit. Don't worry too much about that. But now we need to work out what's stem and what's leaf. This bit is obviously a leaf, and what I'm going to do is make it a bit darker here where the petal is overlapping it, like that. Then just sort of fade it up a bit, so just reduce the amount of colour until you fade off into the apple. And then we want a little bit of shadow under here where that's overlapping, just like that. Now this one, this is a stem, so I don't know where the rest of the stem is, but we'll not think about that too hard. But we'll do that and then just gently bring it in like we did the same with this one. And then with this leaf, we'll just darken it up a tad at the bottom, like that. Then we'll move here again. I'll just make this bit a little bit darker here. It just adds some interest to the leaf, really. Because leaves aren't always an even colour across. There we go. And then this is the stem. So make it dark on the edges, like that, but also a bit darker under there. And here, like that's a stem. And then we're just moving over here. This long piece here is our stem. Excuse me. What are we doing for time? 3:30. Oh, that's fine. I think about what time to cook. I don't have to cook till 5 o'clock. I've got to put some things in the oven, so my boys want some fish, white fish, but they want to try it with some cherry tomatoes and spinach with it, so that's easy enough in the oven. My son said also some peppers, but I've only got a little bit of cherry tomatoes and spinach, so I'm going to cook those on top of the fish, and then I'm going to put the peppers in separately. They can just add them, just mix it up with it, because I want some peppers as well, but I'm not having any of the fish, so that'll be good. Now we've got a turned over bit here, like that, and then this stem here. There we go. Okay, so there are our stems. Now we're going to go down to the bottom and do the gemstones. I can come in a tad closer. There we go. What I thought I would do was start with the violet. Now I do have a very thin violet, actually. So what we're using, mulberry and violet. I might, is that mulberry? Yeah, I might change my mind actually. I was going to do the violet for the larger ones and the mulberry for the little ones. But because I have this very thin violet, I might use this for the smaller ones. So I'm going to start with my mulberry, give it a sharpen, and do these gemstones. So I'm going to go into the bottom and then just fade up on each bit. And then the top I always figure should be quite light, to be catching the light. Now you can decide which ones to do which colours. I think I'm just going to do the biggest ones in the red, I think, in the pink, sorry. Excuse me. So these more prism shaped ones are probably the bigger ones. You can choose how you do it. And hopefully it will tie in with the chicks and make sense. That's my hope. Now, I am now thinking about the sky. There's a lot of it, isn't there? So I think that can make it a little bit daunting, but I think I'm probably going to use pastels to make it a little bit easier for me. Right, there's that. So this very thin pencil is a bit easier to get into the small spaces. With the circles, I'm trying to make them a bit lighter in the middle. Now the violet very thin, as far as my eye can tell, is exactly the same shade of colour as the violet Premier pencil, so whichever you choose to use won't make a big deal of difference if you have one and not the other. If you wanted to use a very thin for the other ones as well, you could use the Dahlia purple. I think that's available in very thin. The very thin are quite hard to get hold of these days. I don't know if they still make them or not, but I couldn't find the full set on, I think it was UK Amazon. I'm not sure, but anyway. I think sometimes manufacturers stop making certain ones or only import them to certain countries. Prismacolors have always been hard to get in the UK. There are very few people apart from Amazon that sell them. I get mine from Coloured Pencil Shop. I know there's another seller who does open stock pencils, sells them, but apart from that you can't get them in shops, and they are expensive. And I just ordered some replacements for some of mine that are running out, and they were £2 each. Right, let me have a quick think. Sky. Now I want to do the sky in pastels, but we've got yellow, and if I do my sky in blue, I could very easily turn my yellow to green. There are different ways to go about trying to resolve this dilemma. One of them is to use pencil instead, which might be slightly easier to stay in the lines, depending on whether you're me or not. I still can't stay in the lines regardless. Another way would be to use a really accurate tool to apply your pastel, like a Q-tip, cotton bud, something like that. I don't have any at the moment, so I can't do that. Or just to hope, pray and go for it. That's what I'm gonna do. So I've got my washable sponge, my Mungyo Pastels, and I'm just gonna go for it. Now I don't want the whole of my sky to be blue. I want it to be sort of patches of blue, and that will make it a bit easier because I can choose patches which aren't so close to the flowers. You can use a cloud template for this. I've decided against that because I will end up probably being too close to the flowers. So I'm just doing it and hoping that it doesn't look too weird if I just do odd bits here and there. And so it looks like there's some cloud and there's some white in our sky. I think what will help with that illusion is to use a slightly lighter or darker blue in some areas. I'm opting for darker. And I'm just going to use a few blobs of darker blue in some areas. But making sure I also leave some white. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to brush it off and then decide if it needs smoothing in some places, because I think some places look a bit blobby. Yeah, here. That bit there, and that bit there. There we go. And now I just need a pen to finish off these dots. Now I was tempted originally to use gold. I thought that would make sense with all the gold on the crowns and things like that. But now I'm not so sure. I'm wondering whether to use pink or pinky purple. I think I might use this. No, pinky purple. This is a Jelly Roll Metallic. I'm going to use this purpley colour. I think it looks like magic. We'll see how it turns out. There we go. Yeah. I think had I used gold, it would have been a bit samey with our crowns and things. And had I used silver, I think it would have looked too white. And considering we've got bits of white background, I think it would have been a little odd. And this also shows up over the top of the yellow on the daffodils, which is good. Let's hold the page down a bit. I wonder whether this is supposed to be snow. I don't think so, not at Easter. Has happened in the UK. There was some weird news story the other day about snow coming, but I think it was just a nonsense. Sometimes our local news decides to just put stupid articles up about snow. Right, that's that. Now I'm in two minds as to whether to use a coloured pen. I'm just going to put my pastels away so I don't spill them all over the floor. I know what I'm like. On the stamen of the daffodils, I'm wondering whether to put some minuscule dots of yellow. I'm just trying to find, I haven't got a yellow pen in here. I'm just going to get one. Oh. I love how I said hold on, and I've been rummaging away for ages trying to find my two. This is a sunshine yellow and a yellow. These are Poscas. I'm not sure which to use. I might go for the lighter one. The sunshine yellow is the lighter one. And I've been rummaging away for ages, and I'm straight back here. You haven't even noticed I've gone. I'm going to put these dots on top of these stamen, and I hope that I haven't put my hand down in white metallic pen. Probably have, but hey ho. Maybe not. But you don't have to do this, and you can do it with a white pen if you prefer. Miss them out. I don't know if they've just disappeared. I think when they dry, they tend to dry back a bit, but that's okay. Now, it's always tempting when I do this to go over the black outlines, but if I do that, it's going to look a bit odd because I haven't done it on anything else. I feel that if you go over the black outline on anything, you need to do it on everything, or else it just looks a bit strange. But it is up to you I've experimented with it on many occasions. Yeah, and with mixed results, let's say. Oh, I missed there. But then pollen might come off. She's digging herself out of a big hole with an excuse. And why not? Right, some white pen now. So I didn't use that one, I did use that. I'm going to use, I've got a Jelly Roll 80, it doesn't matter what white pen you use, they're all much of a muchness, I think. Well, there are some that are completely useless, but out of the ones that work, Sakura, Sakura or Posca, they're all pretty similar. So this one doesn't want to write, it needs to scribble. Let's try that again. Nope, there we go. So I just want to put some little white marks on top of our gemstones to try and make them look a little more shiny. And close up, it looks quite effective. I don't know how it looks from your perspective, but I'm going to persevere because I can see it making a difference. It just gives a little extra pizzazz, I think. I'm going to do a little bit on the edges of these. Now I've chosen to do the dots on my left. It doesn't matter whether you do them left, right or both sides. It's just, I just started there and went with it. I just plumped with the side. There was no sort of informed choice. I just went, right, let's go for it. And once I started with the first one, that's what I continued with. Right, the ones down here, I'm going to do a similar thing. And hold down the page. And these as well. Put a few white lines here and there if the pen wants to work. Come on, pen. There we go. It's working now. Now some people again now completely cover all the black lines on a gemstone. It looks really good, but again I feel that unless you do it for the whole page it looks a bit weird, so that's why I have not. It's a lot of work if it's something you're thinking of doing. Look at all those black lines on the page. Look at how many there are that you're going to have to cover them all up, every single one. And you will find that you're going to need about 3 layers of pen to get that to work and look right. It's a lot of work. It can be well worth it. I've seen the most beautiful pages, but I've tried it just on really small items and I've run out of patience. It's just not my thing. There we go. And I've seen the most beautiful pages that haven't had white lines removed, I shall have to say as well. So it isn't a must do type thing. Right, I think I am done. Let's have a look. Let's move that out of the way. Have a little look as I just tidy up a few things. Yeah, let's come out and see the whole page. There it is. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that. You might want a more solid blue background. You could certainly do it with a pencil or go over all of it with pastel. I just didn't want green daffodils, as I explained, but you know, you could do that. And it doesn't look too much like I've just tried to avoid the daffodils, which I'm quite pleased about, but maybe it's because my eyes are going a bit blurred, but who knows. But hopefully that looks okay to you. So thank you very much for watching. Oh, I hope that you all have a super day. Please do like, subscribe and comment. Thank you very much and happy colouring.